Hey guys, I got an unbelievable email yesterday that I really wanted to just share with you guys and run this little video on. It was an employee who worked for me for about a year ago. And, she really wanted to be in this certain industry. And so she left and went to pursue, some different dreams that she had, which was obviously fantastic for her. And, we had just worked together for a while and tried to, give her as much education as I could, being her mentor and things like that. And she shot me this email yesterday, and it was, how well she was doing and, how initially that really wasn't the case. She was like, initially I was trying to break into this industry, and I was like, trying as much networking as I could and job interviews and things like that, and getting turned down a lot, and having a lot of situations that would have normally made me feel really discouraged. And she was like, and I really felt like some of the things that we had gone over and you had really taught me about how everything is good, to just stay positive consistently regardless of what's going on, how everything's going to be like not just okay but great. Like I feel like I used those things in this scenario in my life. And it was something where sometimes people would look at me like I had three heads because it didn't look like everything was going really well. And lo and behold, here I am a year later, and, I have this going for me and that going for me. And, she was really in a position of happiness. You could really tell. And she was like, I feel like it's genuinely because I knew that it was going to work out beautifully. And I stayed positive during this entire time. And that was like one of the best emails that I had received so far this year. It was absolutely unbelievable to know that, there was an impact on somebody with some of these teachings that, we go over a lot in my office and my company and things like that. And it just kind of got me realizing, and this is what I wrote back to her, was, after obviously I went over how great it was to hear from her and how great it was to hear her story and how, well she's doing, is like, it's kind of a good reminder of like, how much are you really doing that? How much am I really doing that? Like when something seemingly bad happens, do you take it as something bad? Because if you take it and your initial reaction is like, hey, this is bad, this is a problem, then it is bad or it is a problem. Like so many things that seem negative to start are like actually really positive. But it completely depends on how you handle them initially, and how you actually think about them right off the bat, right? It's like basic law of attraction. I haven't really talked a lot about law of attraction too much on these videos, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. What you put out there is absolutely what you get back, and I think that like, it was just a great inventory of like, okay, so am I really doing an unbelievable job, though, of when something seemingly bad happens, of instantly knowing that it's good? Think about like all the things in your life or all the times in your life where something happened and it seemed bad at first and it ended up ultimately being good. Like I can think of so many right off the bat. Like for example, my first business that I had, it failed. And if that didn't happen, and it was like gut-wrenching when it was happening. I mean, it was awful. It was awful. And if that didn't happen, I would have never gotten, basically kind of hooked up with the mentor that I work with now on a day-to-day basis, which, here we are 10 years later, was 100% worth it because she helps me more today than I really could have, asked for my first business, which was kind of up and down and all around, to really help me then. On a small scale, I remember like, just times where I've received emails, like this time in particular, a handful of years ago, where I got my first email from my accountant that went over a net profit for my company. Therefore, I was going to be taxed $5,000 from the government, and it was due in a couple of weeks. That is seemingly a very bad email. Hey, congratulations, you actually profited. Therefore, $5,000, this is the tax rate for businesses. You're probably not used to this personally. No problem. Give me $5,000. Right. And so I remember like being in the thick of these teachings and receiving this email and being like, this is good. This is good. This is great. I don't know how this is great. This is so good, and it ended up being actually a really good thing. We found, just some different ways to improve the company through taking a look at some of the financials. And we also found different ways to spend some taxable income. And, that was a really fun week. It ended up literally being fantastic. I know that, when to get personal, when my ex-boyfriend and I broke up, it seemed like things were really bad. It seemed like things were crashing down. And obviously, if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have met my husband. So, think about all these things in your life where they seem bad initially and they end up actually being so good. And I bet you if you really thought about it, if you barely even thought about it, you could probably come up with 3 right off the top of your head. If you really thought of it, you could probably come up with 10 or 12, conservatively. And so then if this is the case, then when something seemingly bad happens, you get that email, you get this potential problem is dumped in your lap, this thing seems to be happening, then why not just think right at that moment, this is really good. I don't know how this is good. You don't have to know how. I don't know how this is so good, but I know that this is good, and genuinely feel excited about what good is still going to show its face, and you will see that the seemingly problems become so good. I don't even use the word problem anymore. I just use challenge, situation, or opportunity. It's just those 3. There are no problems, period, because everything's good. You'd be shocked at how much it helps you. Everybody have an awesome night. If you're excited about the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. Well, I guess it depends on which way your phone is going. And receive more content. I'm excited about talking more about law of attraction. If you like the video, go ahead and like me. Thanks, guys.